In 2011, the Supreme Court of India ordered an inspection of a temple vault in Kerala. The inspectors opened 5 chambers. What they found inside made international headlines: gold statues, diamond crowns, ancient coins, precious stones, estimated value $22 billion, the largest treasure ever documented in human history. Then they reached the 6th chamber, Vault B. They looked at the door and stopped. The Supreme Court of India, the highest legal authority in the world's largest democracy, decided not to open it. The official reason given was structural concerns. The unofficial reason, whispered by the temple priests, was something else entirely. Vault B has been opened only twice before, in 1990 and again in 2002. What was recorded from those openings was never made public. Today we are going to look at 5 tombs and sealed chambers. Each one was closed for a reason. In some cases, we know the reason. In others, we only know what happened to the people who tried to find out. These are not lost tombs, not forgotten chambers buried under centuries of sand. These 5 places are known. Their locations are documented. In some cases, you can visit them today. Stand outside the door, read the sign, and be told that what is behind it is not for you to see. A hidden chamber beneath the Sphinx in Egypt, studied for decades but never fully opened. A tomb in Mongolia so secret that the man who ordered it built had 2,000 people killed to protect the location. An underground storage room in Iraq containing artifacts older than any known civilization that survived 5,000 years of war, flood, and fire, and disappeared in 2003. And a tomb in China where 700,000 workers labored for 38 years that contains rivers of liquid mercury, and that the Chinese government has officially decided will never be opened. 5 sealed places, 5 decisions. And in every single case, the decision to keep them closed tells us more than anything inside ever could. The Padmanabaswami Temple in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, India. One of the oldest temples in the world, operating continuously for over 5,000 years. In 2011, the Supreme Court of India ordered a full audit of its underground vaults. What followed became the most extraordinary archaeological discovery of the 21st century. Vault A. Gold statues of deities encrusted with diamonds, crowns set with rubies and emeralds, thousands of gold coins from civilizations no longer in existence. Vault B. Unopened. Vault C. Necklaces of pure gold stretching over 5 meters, bags of loose diamonds, ancient coronation regalia. Vault D. Gold elephants, life-sized, solid, dozens of them. Vault E. Rare coins, gold plates, ceremonial weapons inlaid with precious stones. By the time the inspection team had documented 5 of the 6 chambers, the estimated value of what they had found was $22 billion, more than the GDP of many countries, hidden in a temple in Kerala for centuries. Then they stood in front of Vault B. The door is different from the others. It has no conventional lock, no hinges visible from the outside. It is sealed with 2 large cobras carved into the metal surface. The temple priests told the inspection team something that stopped them. Vault B, they said, can only be opened by a specific Sanskrit chant, a chant known only to a class of Hindu holy men who have not existed for over a century. The Supreme Court of India deliberated and decided not to open it, not because they believed in curses, but because 3 of the court-appointed commissioners who had entered the other vaults reported experiencing severe physical symptoms immediately after. Nausea, disorientation. 1 required hospitalization. The court commissioned a structural analysis of Vault B without opening it. Ground-penetrating radar suggested the chamber extended far deeper than the others. How deep exactly? The report did not specify, In 2020, a petition was filed again to open Vault B. The Supreme Court reviewed the case and declined again. $22 billion documented in 5 chambers, and the 6th one remains sealed. Whatever is inside Vault B has been there longer than anyone can confirm, and the highest court in the world's largest democracy has twice decided it should stay that way. Some decisions tell you more than any answer could. The next sealed place on this list required a different kind of decision, not a legal one, a military one, and it was made in 48 hours, beneath the most studied monument on Earth. The Great Sphinx has watched over the Giza Plateau for more than 4,000 years. Empires have risen. Civilizations have vanished into dust. The Guardian remains. It is the most studied monument on Earth, scanned by satellites, measured to the centimeter, photographed from every angle imaginable. So here's the question that decades of study still haven't answered. How does something examined this closely still hide a secret beneath it? In the early 1990s, Egyptian and international researchers launched a systematic seismic survey across the Giza Plateau. Ground-penetrating radar, acoustic imaging equipment. They weren't hunting for lost chambers. They were mapping the bedrock beneath the monuments, standard geological work. Then the readings changed. Something was there, beneath the pores of the Sphinx, an anomaly the equipment couldn't fully explain. Some researchers who studied the data suggested it could be an artificial chamber. Others argued it was more likely a natural void within the ancient limestone. Nobody could prove either theory, because nobody excavated deep enough to find out for certain. Here's why. The Sphinx is carved directly from the bedrock it sits on, fragile limestone that has survived 4,000 years by remaining almost entirely undisturbed. One miscalculation below it, and you risk far more than uncovering a mystery. You risk damaging one of the most irreplaceable monuments in human history. So Egyptian authorities made a decision. Study it, scan it, survey it again and again, but never fully expose whatever lies beneath. That caution left the question sitting there, unanswered, for over 30 years, long enough for it to merge with one of Egypt's oldest and most persistent legends, the Hall of Records. A hidden chamber, said to preserve the accumulated knowledge of a forgotten civilization, lost to time. The legend has inspired countless books, documentaries, decades of public fascination and debate. But despite all of that attention, not one archaeological excavation has ever confirmed it exists. So where does that leave us today? Modern technology has mapped this plateau in greater detail than at any point in history. Researchers continue to study the Sphinx using more advanced scanning methods than the ones used in the 90s. And yet, the anomaly first detected decades ago still has no confirmed explanation. Was it a natural cavity shaped by geology over thousands of years? An unfinished chamber, abandoned by ancient builders? Or something the instruments have never been able to fully map? For now, the evidence stops exactly where the mystery begins. And maybe that's the real reason the Sphinx still captivates the world. Not because of what we know is underneath it, because after 4,000 years, we still don't. In 1227, the greatest conqueror in human history died, Genghis Khan, a man who had conquered more territory than any ruler before or since, an empire stretching from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe, from Siberia to the Persian Gulf. At the time of his death, he controlled more than 22% of all land on Earth, and he gave one final order: nobody would ever find his grave. What followed was the most elaborate concealment operation in the history of human burial. According to multiple historical accounts from Persian, Chinese, and Mongolian sources, the funeral procession that carried Genghis Khan's body to its burial site killed every living thing it encountered along the route. People, animals, Anyone who saw the procession pass was executed on the spot, so no witness could ever report the direction of travel. At the burial site itself, 800 soldiers dug the tomb. When the burial was complete, those 800 soldiers were killed by a dedicated cavalry unit. That cavalry unit was then killed by another group, who were then killed by another. The final executioners rode their horses back and forth across the burial site until the ground showed no sign of disturbance. Then a river was diverted to flow directly over the tomb. Then 10,000 horses were driven across the ground to erase any remaining trace. Then trees were planted. An estimated 2,000 people died, so that one man's burial place would never be found. It has now been 800 years, and it has never been found, not for lack of trying. In the 1990s, a joint Mongolian-Japanese archaeological expedition used satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, and aerial photography to survey the region of the Khenti Mountains in northeastern Mongolia. They identified over 500 potential sites. They were permitted to investigate none of them. The Mongolian government established the Ich Korig, the Great Taboo, a restricted zone covering 5,000 square kilometers around the suspected burial area. Entry is forbidden for anyone, including archaeologists, including Mongolian citizens. The official reason: respect for Mongolian cultural heritage. The practical effect: the largest protected archaeological mystery on Earth. In 2004, American explorer Maury Kravitz spent 17 years and $6 million searching for the tomb. He was denied access to the restricted zone every single time he applied. He died in 2012 without finding it. Historical accounts suggest the tomb contains not just the body of Genghis Khan, but the accumulated plunder of the largest empire ever assembled. Gold, jewels, artifacts from every civilization the Mongols conquered. All of it under 5,000 square kilometers of protected Mongolian steppe, guarded by a government decree, and the memory of 2,000 people who died to make sure you never find it. What was buried in Mongolia was buried by human hands making a deliberate choice. What disappeared in Iraq disappeared in the chaos of war, but the people who took it knew exactly what they were looking for. In the spring of 2003, as American forces entered Baghdad, something happened that had nothing to do with the war. The Iraq Museum contained one of the most significant archaeological collections on Earth. Artifacts spanning 12,000 years of continuous human civilization. Sumerian tablets, Babylonian seals, Assyrian carvings. Objects that predated every other known civilization on Earth. When the looting began on April 10, 2003, the world watched in horror as irreplaceable artifacts disappeared. 15,000 objects taken in 72 hours. But here is what the international news coverage missed entirely. The looters who took the tourist pieces, the obvious artifacts, were opportunists. They took what was visible, what was accessible, what looked valuable. The second group that entered the museum was different. They brought their own lighting equipment, their own cutting tools, and they went directly to the basement, to a section of the museum that was not on any public map, not listed in any official catalogue available to the public, a storage area containing the most sensitive items in the collection. Specifically, cylinder seals, thousands of them, ancient gold and silver coins, jewelry that couldn't be replicated by any museum on Earth, small enough to fit in a backpack, valuable enough to fund years of black market trade. These items were not taken by opportunistic looters. They were taken by people who knew they existed, who knew where they were stored, who had specific tools to access them, and who left everything else around them untouched. Colonel Matthew Bogdanos of the United States Marines was assigned to investigate the museum looting. He spent months documenting what was taken and what was left. His report, published in 2005, confirmed 3 distinct groups had entered the museum: random looters, organized thieves, and a third group, He described the third group as having intimate knowledge of the collection. He described their target area as the basement storage section. He could not identify who they were. Many of these items have never been recovered. In the 20 years since 2003, tens of thousands of looted Iraqi artifacts have been returned from private collections, auction houses, and black markets around the world. Many of the rarest basement pieces have not appeared anywhere. Not in private collections, not at auction, not on the black market. Objects that valuable do not simply vanish from circulation, unless someone took them specifically to keep them out of circulation. 5,000 years they survived. War, flood, fire, the fall of empires, and they disappeared in 72 hours. Taken by people who knew exactly where to look and exactly what to take. What was taken in Baghdad was taken in chaos. What has been kept sealed in China has been kept that way by the most deliberate decision on this entire list, made by a government, about a tomb they have studied for 50 years, and officially decided will never be opened. In 1974, Chinese farmers digging a well near Xi'an hit something unexpected, a buried soldier, made of terracotta, life-sized, then another, then hundreds, then thousands. What they had found was the outer perimeter of the largest burial complex ever constructed, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of unified China, built by 700,000 workers over 38 years. The terracotta army alone contains over 8,000 soldiers, each one with a unique face, unique armor, unique expression, 8,000 individual sculptures, created to guard one man for eternity. But the terracotta army is not the tomb, it is the outer defense. The actual burial chamber sits beneath a man-made mountain, called Mount Li, approximately 35 meters underground, sealed for over 2,200 years. Chinese archaeologists have known its exact location since 1974. They have the technology to excavate it. They have the funding. They have government support. And they have officially decided not to open it. The reason they give publicly is preservation. Current technology cannot protect the artifacts once exposed to air. But here is what the historical records say is inside. The ancient historian Sima Qian, writing just 1 century after the tomb was sealed, described rivers of liquid mercury flowing through the chamber. Mechanical crossbows rigged to fire automatically at anyone who entered. A ceiling map of the entire night sky inlaid with pearls representing stars. A floor map of China with its rivers and oceans represented in liquid mercury. Modern soil surveys of Mount Li have detected mercury levels in the ground, 100 times higher than surrounding areas. The mercury is real, which means the description is real, which means whatever else Sima Qian wrote about the interior may also be real. The Chinese government has set no date for excavation, no timeline, no plan. Simply, not yet. 2,200 years sealed. 700,000 workers. Mercury rivers confirmed by modern science. And a government that knows exactly what is inside and has decided the world is not ready to see it. 5 sealed places. 5 different reasons for keeping them closed, and one pattern connecting all of them. The decision was never about what was inside. It was about what opening them would mean. A Supreme Court declined to open a vault, choosing caution over certainty. Egyptian authorities left a scanned anomaly beneath the Sphinx, unexcavated for over 30 years. A conqueror killed 2,000 people, so that not one witness could ever point to a direction on a map. A third group entered a museum in a war zone, with their own equipment, their own lighting, their own tools, and took only the pieces they already knew were valuable. And a government-confirmed mercury rivers beneath a mountain, looked at 2,000 years of sealed history, and said, not yet. What connects these 5 decisions is not fear, not superstition, not lack of technology. It is calculation. Someone in each case looked at what was behind that door, and decided that the cost of opening it was higher than the cost of leaving it closed. Maybe they were protecting something fragile. Maybe they were protecting something dangerous. Maybe they were protecting something that would require rewriting everything we think we know. The most revealing thing about a sealed door is not what is behind it. It is the decision to keep it closed, because that decision tells you something the contents never could. That someone, at some point, looked at what was there and chose silence. Deliberately, carefully, permanently. If you want to keep exploring the places where official history goes quiet, Enigma Science exists for exactly that reason. Subscribe. Because what we look at next is a door that has never appeared on any map, and the people who know where it is would very much prefer you never find it.